Hey, Shira Lazar. I'm right now talking to Josh Fox. He's the man behind the documentary Gasland, which won the documentary award, the Grand Jury Prize at Sundance in 2010. But now it's on HBO. It's been making a lot of headlines. Josh, thanks so much for talking to me. I know you're in Brooklyn right now at your place.
That's right. I'm at the production offices of International Wow Company in Brooklyn.
So tell people the story behind Gasland and how it all came to be.
Well, I was offered, along with my family, a gas lease that was good for $100,000. With our house is on 19.5 acres. We were offered about $4,700 per acre. And the story from the gas companies and the story from the environmental groups and people concerned in my area was so radically different that I decided to investigate about it. So basically, gas companies were saying, this is no problem. It's just basically a fire hydrant in the middle of the field. This is good for the environment, all sorts of stuff. And then the environmentalists were saying, look, there's a million chemicals involved. This is incredibly disruptive to land. It can contaminate your water, air pollution, people getting sick. They showed me pictures from out west. So then I went out to a neighboring town called Dimmock, where they're doing a lot of drilling, and found the place completely turned upside down. Water contamination, people could light their water on fire, Halliburton trucks swarming everywhere, people totally afraid of what was happening to them. That there was a feeling of being betrayed, a feeling that they got something entirely different than what they signed up for. A lot of people there signed up for $25 an acre, and they were told they probably won't even drill. And then, boom, their whole town gets completely taken over. And then their kids are getting ill when they're drinking the water. So they felt like they couldn't trust, when you can't trust your water, you can't trust your house. You can't trust your town. You can't trust the place that you're in. So your whole life becomes this negotiation process between what you feel like is safe and what you feel like isn't.
And so you started this journey in 2008. Am I right?
I got the lease, and we got these offers in the late spring of 2008, early summer 2008, and then I really started to look into this over that fall. And then the first time I went to Dimmock was in the winter.
And you stopped by how many states and where they were having drilling going on?
I actually can't remember how many states I went to. It was about 25 in the process of making the film. The film focuses on about 10 different states. New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Washington, D.C., Arkansas, Wyoming, Colorado, New Mexico, Louisiana, Texas.
Yeah, so I watched the documentary. I was surprised at how many places this was going on in, and is this a story you feel like people don't really know about, obviously?
Yeah, well, when I was doing my initial research, there was very little online. I think a lot more has happened in the past year and a half. I mean, there are amazing reports on ProPublica's website. There's been stuff in Scientific American. There's been stuff in Vanity Fair this month. So there's been a lot of people looking into the story. But when we first started out, there wasn't that much. There was relatively little. There were scattered reports from the West. There was some information about the drilling technique. But it really grew as my understanding of it grew from making the film, from going from place to place and seeing what was going on there.
Now, oddly enough, also with everything that's going on with the BP oil spill, how random that would happen in the midst of you releasing this film as well.
Yeah, well, the BP oil spill obviously is horrific, and it is related. I mean, what we're seeing is the consequences of unregulated extractive energy industry as a legacy from the Bush-Cheney government. Moving on into this Obama government, things haven't really changed that much. And in the natural gas world, oh boy, sorry. Should have turned off my phone before I started this. But in terms of natural gas drilling, I've seen blowouts. We've had blowouts in every state that I visited. We had a blowout with 1 million gallons of fracking fluid spreading out over Pennsylvania in one day. When I'm talking about blowouts, we're talking about this phenomenon of having gas seepage underneath into streams, moving into the wrong places. A benzene plume that blew out into all the groundwater in Clark's Fork, Wyoming, very well documented case. So although you don't have anything on the scale of the BP oil spill, you do have 450,000 of these gas wells out there, with a proposal for 100,000 in New York, 100,000 in Pennsylvania. The contamination of our freshwater drinking sources is what really worries me. And in every town that I went to, and this was in all the different states that I went to, and the drilling campaign is in 34 different states, I found this problem: water contamination, air pollution, serious health problems. So I'm very concerned about this, and although the BP oil spill is one well and it's obviously have this incredibly catastrophic effect, the drilling onshore as a whole worries me enormously.
So, what responses have you been getting from gas companies to your documentary?
Oh, well, they're attacking the film, which isn't so surprising. I honestly, I thought that they were going to ignore it because them attacking it has caused a lot more media attention towards the film, and I think it's very clear whose side the facts are on. And so they're attacking it, and they're saying things like, the gas industry is exempt from the Safe Drinking Water Act, from the Clean Air Act, from the Clean Water Act, from the Superfund law, and they're saying we're not exempt from those acts when they're attacking the film. And it's so easy to look that up and see that it's actually the case. You can look up the laws. They're saying the water on fire has nothing to do with gas drilling. That's naturally occurring. People couldn't light their water on fire before we got there. Again, it doesn't stand up to the facts.
And they're saying that some of the reports you made maybe aren't true. You're not really using the right numbers.
Yeah, I mean, well, that their arguments are really specious and misleading, and they're attacking the film, calling it, I don't know exactly the words that they're using, but they're challenging the facts, and it's very simple to look at the facts. And if you watch the film, and I encourage everybody who watches, obviously, this interview to watch the film. It's on HBO. I think it's very obvious who's telling the truth from the citizens. I mean, what's difficult about this is when we're talking about the gas industry stonewalling us. This is what's happening to people all around America, people who are suffering water contamination. They use 600 different toxic chemicals in this cocktail to fracture the ground, and that material gets left in the ground, and it's turning up in people's domestic water wells. And then the gas companies, people will do their independent testing, find that chemical in their well water, and the gas companies say, "Oh, it's not our fault. You didn't do any pre-testing, or we're not going to tell you what exactly the composition of that chemical is, so you can't prove it." This is incredibly unfortunate. So it's far worse to be telling people whose groundwater has been contaminated and their houses are now worthless and their lives are being threatened that they're wrong than it is to talk to me about that. So it's what's been going on across America for years now, and people have been complaining about this contamination, and the gas companies have been saying, "Not our fault. Sue us."
You've had people like Michael Moore, huge documentary filmmakers, praising your film. Have you gotten the reaction that you expected? Did you expect it was going to be this big?
Well, I think it's amazing. I'm really happy about it. I mean, it's something I hope for, because look, when I started to look into this, I thought this was like a feeling like a cavern was opening up in front of my face, and in front of my, that I was falling into some kind of because it was such a huge story. It's a national story, and I couldn't believe that there hadn't been a film about it, already. So I felt like, I hope this is big, because this is such a huge thing that nobody knows about. And when I'd shown early pieces of it to friends of mine, they were saying, "This is crazy what you've uncovered here." So I'm excited about the reactions. I hope there's some change because of it. There are laws right now that there's the FRAC Act, which would re-regulate the industry under the Safe Drinking Water Act. And there's some other actions that we'd like people to write to Congress about. And people can find out about that at gaslandthemovie.com. You can click on your state on gaslandthemovie.com. It's a map of the United States. You can see all the drilling areas, and you can find out exactly what kind of actions to take in your state. So we hope for people to do that and get involved, because there are certain things that can be done, I think, to start to correct this problem.
Yeah, and the movie, where can people see it?
It can be seen on HBO, and then on demand. I think it's on Saturday at noon, and I know that there's a full schedule at our website and at HBO.com, and it's also on demand every day, so you can get it anytime.
All right, Josh, well, I want to thank you for being with me today and talking to me, and definitely a powerful film, so best of luck.
Well, thank you so much, and I'll talk to you soon.